and gentlemen, boys and girls, I've got a problem. I recently paid somebody to put gutters on my new house, and that worked to keep the water away from the foundation. And then I buried some 4-inch corrugated tubing to get the water further out into the yard. But now I've got the issue of all this water coming up out here causing more erosion problems. And if anybody knows my wife, you know that nothing is safe in this yard when she goes to cut grass. Doesn't matter if it's a tree I planted, if I put a pot in the yard with a flower in it, if there's a rock the size of Rhode Island sitting in the middle of the yard, doesn't matter. She's going to hit it with the lawnmower. So the plan is, these frames that my son and I assembled, we're going to bury them around our gutter pop-up, fill the insides with gravel, paint it black. It's going to blend into the yard and prevent my wife from smoking them with a lawnmower, but also should help keep some of this dirt in place around these pop-ups. Another problem that we're having, and you can see it here good, when this water comes out of these pop-ups, it kind of settles around here, and then whenever the water either goes back down or washes away, it's bringing dirt. And eventually, our pop-ups are going to be full of dirt.
That's what I call a big dirt build project.
Yep. This project is going to be so easy, a caveman could do it. Well, I don't know about a caveman, but I can do it, and I'm pretty close to a caveman, but at least I have Jack helping me. So this is what it's going to look like. It's going to be a 24-inch by 24-inch square, painted black, filled with gravel. The green boards that you see here are going to be cut at 24 inches, while the red ones are going to be cut at 21 inches. A 2x4 is actually only 1.5 inches wide, so we need to cut our red ones 3 inches shorter to account for that. This will give us that nice 24 by 24-inch square. Here's a quick materials list, a little rundown of what it takes to build one frame versus building all 4 of them. Nothing complicated on here, all straightforward. Should be able to find it at your local hardware store or Walmart. Some of those really big gas stations probably have all this also. All right, so we know what we're building. Let's do it. Treated 2x4s, perfect. Remember kids, it's only hoarding if you don't have a plan for it. Guys, safety first. My son knows where all my safety glasses are, so I'm stuck with these, and it's pretty dark out here, but I think we can make it work. Probably worked a lot better if my saw wasn't currently being held together with zip ties.
Officer, I got one question for you. What are those?
But I just cut all the 21-inch boards, and they fell directly into the pile of 24-inch boards. So now I get to play the game of short board and long board. It's not that fun. At least you don't actually have to play it, I guess. I'll see you in about 10 minutes. These are my 24-inch board. Guys, if you're anything like me, and whenever you go outside, you just throw your boots on, and sometimes you leave your pants tucked into your boots. Before you start using a router, make sure to tuck your boots into your pants, because this router is going to create little chunks of sawdust, and it is going to turn your sock into a cactus. Just a little side note. The amount of sawdust you get whenever you use a router is crazy. That little bit of routing I did made that much sawdust. That is not nice. But the end product, that's a nice smooth edges. Once I paint it, you won't even be able to see all the gaps I've got in the wood. Should look decent. Now we're going to get to watch Jack spray paint the outlines of these frames on the ground. This way we'll know exactly where to dig our holes. They'll be sized perfectly for the frames. And also Jack gets to do his favorite thing in the world, which is spray paint. Typically he just spray paints on bridges and buildings and things like that. But if I can keep him painting dirt only, we're in good shape.
Uh-oh.
That's all right. We're going to paint over it. That's good. That's good. Hey, that's good. You don't need that much.
Good?
That was a cool looking rock, man.
Let's dig up.
Perfect.
That's even better.
That looks good.
Should I move this rock?
No, it's all right. That works.
That's cool looking. That's gonna be kind of hard to take. Uh-oh.
Looks good. All right, one more.
Yay! No, extra. Oh, I've got 3/4.
That's okay.
Yay! That's what I call a Dig Dirt Build project.
Save this here. So whenever I was putting these drain hoses in, they're corrugated so you can collapse them, stretch them out kind of like an accordion. So whenever I was burying them, I've collapsed them because I knew that one day eventually I wanted to come in here and do this. So now I can just pull out some of that slack. Now imagine if you were going to do this, you wouldn't have the amount of rocks to deal with that I do. Old timers around here call them iron rocks. My yard is slam full of them. And you can see here that I left the tag on. Were you just looking at my butt?
Found the buried treasure.
Another rock. Man, I might go into the rock farming business. Business is good. Look at me. No, I'm really not kidding. I've got more rocks than I know what to do with out here. I need help. Send somebody. Anybody. Where are you going? No, I have way too many rocks out here. Just from that little 2 foot by 2 foot, 4-inch deep hole I dug. Check this out. Look at that. That is crazy. It looks like there's more rocks than there is hole, but they came out of there. Like I said, if you need rocks, I know a guy. Perfect. Pet that dog. So getting ready to paint these frames. The paint that we've gone with is this fence post paint from Tractor Supply, and it says it's weatherproofs, prevents weathering damage, prevents rust, use above and below grade. So it seems like it could be magic. I don't know, I've never used it. Hopefully it'll make these frames last for 150, 200 years with today's advances in modern science and my high level income. All right, let's get started.
Is he watching us? Can you have to tell him stuff?
Why?
That's how I learned to do it.
That's how they learn to do it?
Yes.
That's a good idea. What should we tell them?
We should tell him how to do this.
So even though this is treated lumber, you want to paint it with something to make it a little more weatherproof, because even treated lumber will eventually start to rot whenever it's in contact with the ground.
Yeah, and we don't want that.
We don't want that. We want it to last a little longer with as much water as these things we're probably going to see. So I went with this underground fence post paint.
Yeah, so it's
So
waterproof.
Yeah, so it should waterproof it pretty good.
Yeah, you can't stop without gloves. It's scary to get that noise in our film, isn't it? It's like, Dad. What? Yeah, it's pretty good. Not too bad, not too good, just right. Just how he wants to paint it, how he normally paints, but it's a lot harder to paint. We usually paint like other stuff, not like just we usually paint like normal stuff. We don't really paint glass too often, do we? Yeah. To worry about mostly getting about rotten board, you just have to paint what you need to paint, and you need to find the right board before you paint the boards, so you know what kind of board are the right boards to use. Because if you don't use the right kind of board, it turns too maggy. And stay tuned for the next build of Big Dad Build projects. We're making gas fire pit, and we didn't make anything else. We'll make something, but I don't want to do those. I'm just gonna kind of rotate, I think. Oh no, I dropped some on the ground. Paintbrush. Wow. Try to use it quick as you can before all the paint dries. Because if you paint it like I can, really fastly, all your paint won't dry on your brush while you're actually talking about a film. Okay. So if you don't have like a paintbrush or anything you need, that is super bad. Hey! Look at this!
The tip of the clip. Whenever you're painting something that has a top and a bottom, make sure you start with the face down. That way, after you paint the bottom of it and flip it over, after you paint the top, you don't have to flip it back over, so the top remains pretty and doesn't get stuck to the wood. Whereas if you started with the top up, once you painted it and flipped it over to paint the bottom, well, now your top is going to get stuck to whatever you're sitting it on. So now that we've got the holes dug, we got the frames painted, the next step is to get the frames in the hole. And so first I'm going to lay down a little bit of this landscaping fabric underneath it. So this will do a few different things. It will prevent the rocks from sinking down into the dirt. And also, so I don't like to use this in flower beds or anything, because all you're doing is delaying the weeds coming through, because in a flower bed, all of your leaves and everything will drop down on top of this landscape fabric, and essentially your topsoil ends up on top of it. So you're not really preventing weed growth or anything. You're just moving where it's going to grow. But with this just being gravel inside of this rock or inside of this frame, I'll be able to come through and round up it, so I won't have to worry about it or anything like that. We're going to lay this down, get our frames down around it. Then I'm going to put Jack on a shovel to fill these things up with gravel. Nah, that's all the dirt that we scooped out of here. That's all the dirt that I scooped out of there.
All right, look, dude. I'm fixing to go inside and eat some lunch. Whenever I get done, you better have all these rocks loaded up, okay? No, I'm not. I'm not kidding. You get a lot done? Are you done yet?
No.
Well, dude, you better pick up the pace. We're supposed to be done with this in like an hour. For real, hurry up. What are you doing? You've been sleeping out here? Where are you? You gotta be in timeout. You didn't even finish scooping these rocks. Come on, time out.
I think we scoop up that little bit right there. Or if you scoop them up, because I got really important things to do. If you'll just scoop up the rest of that pile, we'll be done.
Just try to wash all the dirt out of it. Here we see a jackery in the wild, washing all the dirt from the rocks. Interesting specimen, that one. Wow.
So we got the frames painted, we got the frames full of gravel and in the ground. Now it's time to test them out. It's not raining here, it's a beautiful day in Florida. So I'm gonna go grab a ladder real quick so I can put the water hose down the gutter, see what happens. You didn't see anything. That's my wife's 450. She can't find out about this.
One way to test the gutter.
All right, so we got the water flowing into the gutters. This thing's filling up. Oh, I didn't see you there. I'm just counting these rocks. Well, I think that about does it for this project here on Big Dirt. We've got the frames painted. We've got them full of gravel, and we've got them in the ground around our pop-ups. Only time's gonna tell really if this fixes our problems as far as the erosion goes, but it's gonna be pretty noticeable if my wife hits them with a lawnmower, so that'll be easy to tell. I think they'll probably last about 165, 170 years, so we may have to get Jack's grandkids to kind of fill us in with a follow-up video. Maybe your great grandkids would have to tune in to find out. Well, I think we've accomplished everything we set out to accomplish. Well, this looks done and dusted in my book. Well, I think that's another project we got whooped here at Big Dirt. How much wood would a woodchuck chuck if a woodchuck could chuck wood? I can say that, but I can't even say my own name. Looks good for my house. This is right there, so that doesn't really work. Stick around for the next episode of Big Dirt, where I'm going to build a rocket and I'm going to send Jack to the moon. If you've made it this far in the video, go ahead and like and subscribe, leave a comment. Guys, Jack he worked really hard on getting all that gravel loaded up. He did it for you guys. He really enjoys doing this. I think we're pretty close to getting him that new pair of shoes, maybe 6-8 months out, something like that. Maybe 10, depending on how cold it gets this winter, you never know. Is my rake too big? Does it make you jealous? Our cowboy hat's cool. Find out next week. That's all good. Call it. Okay.